and we are
Yeah.
live.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
not
I
much.
ended up missing out on the beach yesterday.
Woo!
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time I got done, the sun was kind of like going down, and it was a little bit of cold wind, and we had to go to the store and do a bunch of things. So, yeah, I'm gonna go today. But I was just doing some of that view course, but then I got stuck on like this auto formatting. It's not like it's not changing the double quotes to single quotes.
Oh, on
So
your
I'm
VS
like,
Code.
yes.
Oh my
Then I'm
God.
like stuck in trying to like see how I can configure like standard JS to change the view files as well.
Mm,
But yeah, I don't know. I'm here looking at like the issues and people saying like what's working for them, but
It's not working for you. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know
anyway.
it's sad really to spend time making the
yeah, the setup right.
yeah. It's actually it's one of the it's I think it's one of the biggest block, like such stuff are one of the biggest blockers that kick people out of programming, like getting set up. Yeah.
Can be.
So yeah, guys really lose patience and say, okay.
The second is JavaScript.
Yeah.
No, not really. Not really. Probably not. But I know a lot of people actually get stuck in the early point and they just don't move further because JavaScript is maybe too complex to grasp at first, and then they just stop it. But yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
it's a bad thing to start with that.
So yesterday I also got stuck on these I got stuck on these having guys added as co-authors. And
Actually, I saw something about that today, Mike. There's a place in some of the extensions. Like I was looking in one of my extensions, Better, but there might be for standard as well, which says that they can automatically populate your co-authored by, like, I think maybe live share. You can have it automatically populate the co-authored by.
okay.
You know?
Oh, nice.
Let me see
So
if I can find it.
yeah, please do. Yeah, so I spent some time on that, and so I met this thing on Git where they wanted me to squash my commits, and while squashing I had the co-authors or something, and it was just a pain. Yeah, because the commit
Here.
that guys are being added on, you shared it?
Can you share your screen?
Yes, I can't share my screen. I thought you guys were seeing my screen already.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
so maybe.
go to your VS Code and click on the gear on the bottom left.
Let me get my SFN client. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go. We're in the middle of making beer at the moment as well, so I have to go. I have to go move the. It's a 30 well 25 liters of beer that I need to like move so that my wife can. When after you boil the beer, you want to take out the heat as fast as possible. So yeah, go to settings. Yeah.
Settings. Okay.
Yeah, settings, and then go to extensions.
Extensions.
And then go down to the very bottom where it's Visual Studio Live Share. There you go. Yeah, and then scroll down. It's like towards the bottom of it, maybe. Like go down. Scroll down. little bit further. I think a little bit further. I don't know where it is. There you go. Populate Git co-authors. Specifies
Always.
automatically populate your Git commit messages with guest contribution. So
Nice.
if you set that to always, then I don't know if it works. I've never tried it before, but it might work.
Yeah, I think it saves me a lot of fear.
I mean, did you
Doing
see?
something wrong with it?
I sent you a message. Did you see it or?
Yeah, I saw it. That's exactly the same way I did. But then you were like your names were being added to. If I go to the.
I mean, as I said to you before, like I'm not so bothered if you put my name. I just think like if it's if it's other people like Natalia or Abdelani or something, like it's nice. And I mean, it's probably a good habit in general. Like I need to be better about doing that because.
Yeah. So I think what it did in this PR, where is that PR? It's a friend client request. This one. So it added guys to the. You see, this was a pull from develop. This is a pull from develop, and this is where it added the co-authored by. But then it should have added guys in the.
That one there, the merge branch.
Yeah. Yes. So
can you click on those?
I'm not even sure if this is gonna be added to the.
So the way it works is like it's per commit, So like if you're putting in multiple commits, it depends. Like you said, like if the people do squash and merge, then the only thing you need to worry about is like the last commit. But if they don't do squash and merge, then like kind of maybe on every commit. But like some people are just not bothered by it. Like I don't know if Peter really like is going to lose sleep if you don't put him as a co-author on the commit, So and ideally, like it's probably
putting the graph there. I was putting the graph there.
Yeah, I mean, I was like distracting everyone with like color palettes, and Peter was work. So, but I mean, like ideally, it'd be good probably to like do some sort of like you guys do. You guys do a lot of the Git pong, don't you? Where sometimes Peter's driving and sometimes Mike's driving and sometimes Dan's driving, and then each one puts in a commit, and maybe it's not a big deal, but yeah.
I don't really mind. Probably some people do.
Yeah, I'm not super bothered by it, but I just something that I think I want to get in the habit of, especially when you're pairing with newer developers.
Hi, Aaron.
Sure. Hi, Aaron.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, I've been back after a long gap.
Yeah, we were just wasting time hoping that you will join. We had that feeling.
Yeah, so carry on, guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, nice. So
We lost you, Mike. I think you are on mute.
Okay, so I was on mute. So Aaron, maybe something about this PR that you had in this one. So there was some. Was this the one that had some conflicts? That there were possibility of conflict.
Yes.
Yeah, so I fixed it yesterday.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah. But how come I still can't? I think Pete, you can review and merge this. Myself, I can't see.
That's strange.
Yeah, it's strange. I can't see where to. But I've made pull requests before, so I don't know why. Yeah.
I think it needs a review, doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it needs a review and a merge.
So maybe you just want to add a review and someone else merges, or someone add a review and.
I can't add a review. That's the funny thing.
Can you go back to the page you're on? No, no, go, yeah. If you go to the files changed.
First change.
Yeah. And you go to the top right, review changes, on that green button.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put approve, and then leave a comment. Great job, Arun. Really looking forward to using this new feature.
This should be the math bot.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be positive in my reviews, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure you.
Be awesome.
Yeah. So because I already did review it,
Mm-hmm.
it was changing the structure such that it was creating the containers directory inside. So containers performance. So it was.
And that's something that's a desired change, or that's.
Yeah, I think we discussed that with Pete a while back. Do we want to move that way?
I think Federico was requesting this, no?
Yeah. So it's desired. Eventually, we'll have to do that because I think it will be easier just to go. Yep.
So
I can review.
Now maybe Peter merges, or.
Yeah, or maybe you can merge.
Or I can merge, or a Ryder can merge. Merge it, Ryder. Merge
Hi,
it.
Ryder.
I'm merging it.
No context, what we're talking about. Merge it.
Yeah, we were just wasting time hoping that you will join, you know.
I very much doubt the first part on the time wasting.
Yeah.
We try to catch up with the front end since the whole backend is ready.
It's just done. You know, we trained a neural network to code it for us.
Nice. So, yeah. So, what are we working on?
Let's see the board.
Automating away our jobs. See, what happened was we were like, well, Mike and take our jobs, right? So we'll just jump ahead a step and, you know, automate everything. Then nobody has a job. It's just computers programming computers.
Oh my God.
I think with Ryder speed, it can happen in 2 hours. So everything is possible.
So
I wish automate could just be as easy as automate, you know. Yeah.
To automate it, yeah.
How
to automate the thing, you got to understand the thing first, right? So
how do we call the board that's going down? Waffle. Yeah, Waffle.
The bot
that's going down.
Yeah, and there will be the Zen Hub, right? So we need to move things to Zen Hub.
Yeah, we need to move things to Zen Hub. We already moved the backend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. The bots moved the backend. The whole backend moved. Yeah, sure. They did. They were already aware that it's going down, so they automatically moved to Zen Hub without a click. Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So I can move this one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's done. Yeah, that's done. You cannot move that.
I think I should log in.
I can. Oh, I can move. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's sad.
Oh, it's not.
Anna. So what are we working on?
There is one ticket in the icebox. It's 101. It's about the test to writing test for checking links in the artist performance component. I'm not sure if that one is finished. You see it's on the top.
Oh yeah. I think Dan did this, but in the same PR that Federico might.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how to. It's been mined.
You could like leave a comment there saying like, you know, closing it and commenting that this was closed by, and then link the PR.
Okay. Some work in progress PR was merged here.
Okay.
I can't find. Can I search?
What are you searching for, Mike?
The PR that
We merged in?
yeah, this one.
Yep, so it's 100.
So these
Yeah, we can do the refactor causes container, for instance, 85.
okay.
I'm not sure.
Refactor causes content. Okay. You want to drive or?
No, let's give it to someone who joined first time.
Yes.
Like I'm here in every weekend, basically. So almost. Sorry about the last. I don't know, 2, 3.
He's not Aaron. He's I've just forgotten. Let me just get my Aaron. Yeah, he's Aaron.
It's Aaron, yeah.
Yeah. Your setup. You want to drive? As Okot, are you already set up with this?
Yeah, I have. So actually, I have this pending pull request. So has it been merged? I'm sorry. So before working on the refactor of causes container, the pull request has to be merged, right? So I'm talking about pull request 104, the one I submitted, and the one you just reviewed. So it has to be merged in to make sure we can continue working on the refactor stuff. Or am I missing something?
Yeah, I thought Matt was to merge that.
Huh?
The PR that we just reviewed.
Oh yeah, I thought Ryder was merging. Come on, Ryder. No one gets a free lunch around here.
As exciting as it might be to just come into a project where familiar with the trench level view barely at all and just start randomly merging stuff, that's not usually something I do.
Well, what do you think? What do you think I'm doing?
Not that.
I mean, you're saying, so what you're saying is that you don't trust Mike's review, is what you're saying?
I like how you're pitting us against each. It's very.
I mean,
yeah, it's very skillful.
It's not a. I guess we could talk through it. It's not a super complicated change. Like Federico has requested that they change the like stateful components to be inside of a containers directory. So there's a change. Mike, you're sharing your screen, so maybe you could like go to the PR. I mean, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but it's just a couple of changes. And so basically it's changed, like it's added a containers directory, and then basically just moved one of the components out of the performances directory, which lives in the components directory.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, so it's just basically migrating existing code from one directory to another. And I think like do you understand what like Federico's motives behind wanting to organize stateful components in containers directory?
It's something similar as a structure than like in a website one, no? So that's the whole aim. Yeah. Okay.
I think it comes from like I first heard about this like from Dan Abramoff, from Joseph, who shared a blog from Dan Abramoff talking about like containers and presentational components. So Ryder, I thought Ryder might be dealing with a. Anyways, I was just joking about him merging it. Anyways, I'll just merge this and stuff. That's Arun, very good job. I'm merging. Confirm merge. Woo!
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's finally got finished after a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was hanging.
It was merged in your absence, Ryder.
Yeah, sorry, Ryder. We made an executive decision and just merged it.
Yeah. So
is anyone going to review Federico's pull request? Because I can. Oh, it's already been reviewed, huh?
Which one?
The
fork repo.
Who reviewed it? Or Federico's pull requests don't need reviews?
I think we haven't reviewed that one. But
because it's like it's here. It's like mergeable. It's not being blocked by needing a review.
Yeah, let's merge it because he also says, or maybe they discussed with Dan actually, because he mentions Dan to please merge this PR. Once you do it, it will automatically update the main PR of 103. So I think they might discuss with Dan.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I thought like it looks like there's a policy in place that that says it needs at least one review before, but I don't see any review.
Yeah, I can add a review.
Sure. And then maybe Mike, you want to merge? I mean, I'm on kind of a merge roll, but
I think maybe it's because it's from this branch to this branch. It's not being merged to develop.
Ah, right. Oh, so does it need to be merged before something else gets merged then maybe?
Yeah, it's like it merges to.
Oh, right. So it's going back to 86.
Yeah.
Which one is 86? Oh, Dan's. All right.
Yeah, Dan's.
And yeah, Dan's branch is out of date, so I could update it. But I think wait till you merge, Mike, and then I'll update 86.
I will merge the one or add the review now.
Do I merge this one?
I think he was saying maybe it probably doesn't hurt, but I think Peter's adding a review. So
Okay.
if you just hold off for 2 seconds.
It's 2 seconds.
1,000, 1,000.
3,000 milliseconds.
Okay. I did a review.
Right? Are you dealing with? I thought you had dealt with your internet issues, or am I thinking of someone else? Ryder, can you hear us? Ryder.
So this, I think I can. So Pete, I added some tests to this one.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah. So
Cool. What kind?
maybe
that the money, like it's showing up.
yeah. So I just the kinds of tests that Matt doesn't like, but
What?
this. Yeah. So this one, the one that Federica has been requesting. This. So just to see that we have a responsive bar. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, it finds the responsive bar component inside of the chart component wrapper. Yeah, see. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I was thinking about this actually too. Yeah. What do we need to do this? Someone has to review, or we need to wait for Federico to review?
He said he saw it already, so I'm not sure if he did review, but he gave me a response. He was saying that we'll have to think about. I asked him about what we should put on the X and Y axis of the graph.
Yeah.
And he was saying we'll have to think about that a bit, but probably the total money raised and the amount raised through the artist's last 3 performances. So maybe we can just merge it because we can't wait for this. And then when they're decided on what they want to be there, we can yeah.
I think we need to have another look later for this bar chart customization, so we need to return to this anyways later.
Oh, so maybe we can just leave it not merged?
No, we can merge it to have it visually there, and so everyone is aware that we need to conceptually working on it, but for to make it right, we need to return.
Okay.
And we don't know the values, we don't know what's gonna be actually there.
Yeah.
Like it's months or quarters or number of events. Or...
Yeah. I agree. There's merits to merging it or leaving it unmerged, but I'm 100% behind the fact that it can be merged now.
Awesome.
So
I'm not a deciding voice. I'm just stating my support of that.
Are you gonna merge it, Trader? We don't just like you talking and not merging.
Yeah, that's right. I am all talk. Here's the thing: is according to the Slack channel, at least the Weekend Collaboration Slack channel, Federico was asking if it's a blocker or not for this to remain unmerged, and Mike, you responded, no, it's not a blocker. Basically, though, that there makes me wonder if it's not something that he would prefer to take a look at before it goes in. Obviously, a really functional team and product is not going to depend on single people to go in. Architecture is everybody's responsibility. The well-being and upkeep and maintainability and sort of sensible coherence and organization of the project is everyone's responsibility. But at the moment, it does seem like Federico is in, basically the architect role, wearing the architect hat. So that would be my only reluctance about merging it right this second.
Okay, we've been merging stuff like during the Weekend Collab. Like we haven't been, like we haven't been waiting for him to merge. It's only that one big PR that, he had some comments about, so we had to wait for him.
Okay, cool. Well, let me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he mentioned actually that he doesn't want to be the blocker of us moving further. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So if you like intentionally, if you're mentioning something like this as in the conversation, that you have this intent that maybe I want to review.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
I mean, here's the other thing though, is I feel like Federico communicates very clearly often. And I don't know. Here we are, also early stage of a project. It's not in production. Nobody's consuming it. If we merge something that shouldn't have been merged, the cost of doing that is astronomically low. And you know, I feel like it's yeah. You all know where I'm going with this. The whole notion of just getting it going. Yeah.
Yep.
So SFN, I am not sure that I can merge that, but let's find out.
Yeah, Matt can give you the powers. We just want you to merge.
You just want someone else to merge it.
Yeah, Matt has got all the power. So Arun, you are going to drive us on that one, on what we are going to work on right now.
85.
Yep. Where is the board?
Because it's really similar what he did before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would really recommend someone else to since I've not tried it. So I would recommend someone else to hack at it.
Okay, nice. Okoth, you are our second choice. Are you set up with the project?
Yeah, I'm still in the process of setting it up.
Oh, but you don't have any. You're not having any trouble setting up?
Not really.
Okay. That takes us to
Ryder, can you merge 86?
I don't have permissions to merge anything at the moment.
Oh, okay. I can give you permissions.
Yes.
How do I give permissions? Let's see. Collaborators?
What do you mean by merge 86? Is 86 the issue number?
No, the PR number.
I see 114 and 103. Where is 86?
Oh, I think it is actually the issue number. Sorry.
Okay.
It's the one, the README one.
Oh, okay, great.
So.
Yeah, documentation, unless there's something just like flagrantly wrong about it, I feel like the documentation merge cadence can be pretty snappy because the risks tend to be so much lower unless you're, propagating information that's just patently wrong.
Since you're already a member. Yeah, you already have permissions.
Right. I was trying to merge. Oh, well, that's weird. Okay. I was looking at the other PR, and I wasn't able to merge it, but that may have been because it had pending checks that hadn't succeeded. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and merge 86.
Thank you.
So I have assigned this one to Peter.
All right.
Yeah.
It's because it's out of date with master or with develop. So I'll update it, and then it'll run the build, and then we'll see.
And guys, the Weekend Collab is almost a year old. So
Yeah, actually, Matt checked it. When is it, Matt?
June 2nd.
June 2. Yeah.
Yeah, we're having we're gonna have a big hackathon.
Beer hackathon.
Yes, we're gonna have a beer drinking hackathon. Don't know what we're gonna work on yet, but it's coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not around the corner, but
I'm just wondering, where is that container library or directory that we created?
it should be an SRC, no?
Yeah, but it's not there. Is it Martin?
It was, yeah. It looks like I mean, I have here on the.
Here we go. Sorry. I was late. Sorry. Is there?
No worries.
Guys, give me a couple of minutes. I'll be back.
Okay, just a couple.
So it's gonna be we create a causes container in containers. And we're gonna put the existing components from, so basically these two files, two causes. And now it's gonna live inside of here. Obviously that breaks a lot of stuff at the same time. So let's have a look. We also need to rename it. Yeah, to causes. So then in the test, we also need to remove. I forgot to run actually yarn. Be sure. That's fine, okay. What else we need to, let's go further.
I really don't know how I feel about all these without crashing tests that have without crashing in the name. I'm not talking about the existence of the test itself. I'm talking about, without crashing being there. Because unless you have a case where you're testing, throwing a particular exception, like the understanding is that it's going to be a nominal condition test where, we're testing that a thing behaves appropriately, and by its very nature, behaving appropriately, unless it's testing a throw, is doing a thing without crashing.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the tests that Mike was saying I don't like, because what you're testing, like every subsequent test that you write is going to check that it mounts properly. So yeah, it's like, what's the point of having a test that says it mounts properly if it doesn't mount properly, then every other test that you write in the file is going to fail. So
yeah, so this depends entirely on your opinion about like how it's going to help you quickly pinpoint a failure, because all unit tests, they should run quickly and they should help you pinpoint failures. Obviously, if you see everything in that file failing, that tells you there's something very fundamentally wrong, and that would definitely be an argument for what you're saying, excising that and not being concerned about it. On the other hand, I felt like I was going to have more of a counter argument, but once I'd said it out loud, I'm like, well, yeah.
I mean, it's something that was specifically they removed, and that was specifically Federico asked them to put it back, and I'm not sure that I'm keeping up with the conversation enough to know why he wants those. So I don't know if Mike can say what his justification was, but yeah, I can't think of a reason why.
Yeah, so I think the reason he asked us to put it in, I don't know whether it was since we removed them for all the components, because we did do a refactor where we just removed the without crashing tests from all of them, but I think he didn't like the fact that we were just removing all of them at once. Yeah, so he asked us to put them in. But I also didn't quite understand. We took like almost half an hour trying to understand why. I don't know, but yeah.
So there was a discussion. There was a discussion that took place on their removal.
Yeah, because we removed it, and then Federico asked us to put it back, and
did he say why?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, if there's one thing I'm trying to learn with Ryder, it's that you shouldn't just, like, you know, go put them back without like having any reason why that's the case, you know, because I mean, in one sense I understand, because it's like if the project manager asks you to do something and you want your stuff to get merged, then you do what they say, or your stuff's not going to get merged. But on the other hand, like for our own learning and for like, you know, just because the project manager says something doesn't necessarily mean it's infallible, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the healthiest projects tend to be the ones where there's a lot of debate. It doesn't mean people need to get heated or like, I like to use the word argument a lot. That word, I like arguments, but that word rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So I defer to debate, you know. But I do think the healthiest projects tend to be the ones where there's a lively culture of debate. And people don't just do things because anyone says something. They ask and they reason and they give supporting reasons or refuting reasons. But what I'm understanding from what you're saying, Mike, and from what you're saying, Matt, is that we don't really understand the reason why we want those tests to remain part of the suite.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I mean,
yeah. No, go ahead, Matt.
I think like it seems like it a lot of times like maybe it's like a first test that you write if you're trying to like, you know, if you're trying to test drive something or you know, and you're making really simple components that actually don't really do anything. They're just like just mount. But then it seems like they're kind of removed afterwards. But I don't know. I don't have that much experience, so I don't know if Joseph has any opinion about it.
Yeah.
Since Joseph's joining. Hey, Joseph.
Hey.
We're talking about the presence of those tests that are like renders without crashing that you see kind of in different places. And Ryder brought up the thing that it's not actually checking that it like renders without crashing, because there's no test that is specifically checking that no error is being thrown. And then I said, Mike was alluding earlier to the fact that I don't like these tests because every test that you mount, every test, subsequent test, you're going to mount your component and they will fail if it doesn't mount correctly. So it seems like you're kind of explicitly testing something that maybe you don't need to explicitly be testing.
Yeah, most of that mounts without crashing. Most people add that for testing if the configuration is okay, like for testing, so that like when you run Jest, it works. Yeah, so most people do that. Yeah, for just testing Jest quickly. They don't want to write tests fast. They just put that there to make sure, like, yeah, everything is all set up. And yeah.
Are they auto-generated? To your knowledge?
No, they are not.
Okay.
I think it's Dan Abramov, like did that on, yeah, I think, oh, yeah, on the React Create app, it comes with that.
Right.
Yeah, React Create app. So if it, yeah, and most of people, like most of them use React Create app. So you'll have that test.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to mention two costs, right? So one is the cost of performance of having those components, and one is the cost of, debating whether or not those tests should be there. So the cost of having those tests be part of this test suite and maintaining them, so performance and maintenance, I guess I only mentioned performance before. Let's say we have 100 components and every single component has one of those. I think we can still reasonably expect that it's going to take less than a second to run those 100 tests, one for each component. It's going to be very slight performance costs. We'd have to benchmark it, obviously, to know for sure. In terms of the maintenance cost, those tests will basically never change. So there's not really a maintenance overhead to having them be part of the suite. On the other hand, the cost of discussing whether or not those very, very, very cheap and inexpensive and easy to maintain tests should be part of the suite, that cost could really expand indefinitely, like any other discussion about whether we should do this or the other for a project.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash us. I think it's good to discuss, and I think it's good we've discussed it. I guess what I am trying to put forward is that we may want to limit that discussion to one or two collaborators, and not take this precious time where we're all together as a group, and we can kind of unify everyone's brain power to potentially crunch some tougher problems that are more vital to the central app development path. And it is my fault, I think, for bringing up this, for getting us on this topic in the first place.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. Like maybe just to write something asking if Federico wouldn't mind explaining his rationale behind it.
I think that's a great idea.
I mean, I'm not so bothered by it that no, I won't work on a project where there's test and check mounting.
I won't work on a project where the imports aren't all lined up so that, you see the each import is exactly aligned with the next one. Won't work on it. No, that's a joke.
So you only work on like ESX 6.
Where the JS lint is configured in that specific way, where everything is lined up like it's in a column.
Yeah, if it has double quotes and semicolons, I'm out.
Yeah, no way.
What, Joseph?
Just a second.
Okay.
I've seen something interesting. So I refactor now the causes container, but if someone wants to continue of this refactor, maybe we can do the same with the cause container.
That's confusing. So there is both a cause container and a causes container.
It seemed like, yeah, in the code. I just checked it. I already forgot, but yeah. So, but I think the cause container is only a cause item gonna be.
And then the causes is the set of.
Yeah.
Is that a common React Redux pattern where if you've got these state containers, you'll have one that's kind of that's being populated by an array response from an API? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So causes would be, if I'm understanding, causes would be like the stateful component or container, and cause would be a presentational component, right?
Yes, I think.
It's just receiving the props and just like worried about displaying it.
Yeah, I think. Okay. But that's also, it's not really clear from the mockup actually what's gonna be. So.
I have a question. How quickly do you guys merge PR? I was just about to write my review after it was posted immediately. Please review on the chat, and then it was merged before I even pressed enter.
So that's an interesting question, Joseph. What was the which PR was it?
It was posted here like I don't know 4 minutes ago in the chat here.
Yeah.
Please review. So I went there, and then I was just about to submit my review, and then I saw
It's my fault.
like the button has changed to merged instead of from open.
That's kind of what we've been doing at the beginning of the weekend, collaboration, which we really probably could do without all of us together, to be honest. But yeah, we were kind of like talking about, Ryder was merging things left and right. He was like, I don't even care about background. I just want to merge.
Yeah, no, those were my exact words. That's exactly.
Anyone who knows Ryder knows that I'm trying to.
So you have to be fast to type. You have to type faster.
Yeah.
So Joseph, what were like the comments? Maybe maybe
no,
you can just have them there, and then we can.
It was just nitpicks, nothing much. Yeah.
Like the double quotes and single quotes.
Yeah, spaces around the mustache. They were there before, and then now they are not. I don't know if it's the style that you guys want to use when you're importing something.
Oh yeah, so we have this ticket of the linter because we don't have a consistent styling. So yeah, sure, we need one.
Okay, so the one thing that I'm a little troubled by this PR that just went in, that you were bringing up the speed with which that went in, Joseph, is when I look at the files changed, it's specifically line 10 of the app.js that we have broken convention. Every other container is coming in one particular way. And I don't know. So everything else has container. Every other component has container in there. So do you see how 10 is quite different in at least two significant ways from 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13?
Yeah, we need to refactor all of those, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think we need to do all of them the same way.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not something we need to do today, and that's yeah. What are we doing today?
Yeah, we can open a big ticket of container refactor, and then we move all of them together. Maybe. What do you think, guys?
Yeah.
Mike is not excited. Let's do something else.
I think that's right. We can move the containers together so that everyone is maybe yeah, we could add an issue to move the containers so that we don't have to to go back to refactoring these containers ever again.
Okay, just open a ticket then.
Do I need to refresh?
And if I look at 85, actually, which that PR closes, okay, never mind. I spoke too soon.
Open the ticket. It's 116.
Okay. So maybe I want to.
I wish that we had a reason on like a motivation on this ticket for why this particular pattern. I mean, maybe it's obvious to some of y'all who have done more React and Redux than I have. But like, it's not intuitive to me why this way of doing it is superior to the way that it's in there right now.
I think it's more easily planned. Like it's
Easily planned.
not like it's easier to find files if okay, I think it's because maybe I'm coming from the website one front end where we do things this way, so it's easier for me. Yeah.
Okay.
So and also the other way also is easier, but you don't have the tests put in one directory. Like even in other languages, maybe other I won't say languages, other frameworks, say Phoenix and stuff, you'd always find maybe the test files are within their own test directory. You don't have a directory holding test file, and yeah, so such kind of a structure. I think maybe it's conventional with other projects that I've experienced as well.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's such thing as convention with JavaScript.
I mean, I think like I sent a article, Ryder, that you might find interesting. But like, so Dan Abramov is talking about like, which Joseph showed me this article, separating things into presentational and container components. But then like it seems like, and then he has another article about container components. But then it seems like I don't know if it's him that wrote this, but it doesn't seem like he actually organizes them into their own directories necessarily. He just names them with appended with container, like I think people were doing. So just so it's clear which ones are stateful and which ones are stateless, you know?
Yeah, because then when you go in the actual file, you look at the component name and it's instantly apparent what kind of component that it is. And there are definitely certain advantages to that.
Well, I guess like then I mean, with the same thing can be said of if you go into the containers directory, you know that it's stateful.
Well, yes, but that is true, except for the fact that you've lost that information when you're in the actual file, unless you look at the path of the file, either by hovering over your tab or by looking at your file navigation view.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so right, just to add something to what people are saying, I changed it because I felt it was redundant, you know, to have a container in the name of the component, because it's not really, we didn't really have to insist that it's actually a container when it is inside containers directory. And you know, when you're routing something to a component, of course it deals with, you know, fetching data and stuff. So it's my idea is when I look at something, you know, inside containers or in a reference in the app folder with the routes, I know it is a container because it deals with the data stuff, and everything else that's inside that container is going to be presentation components which receive data and render something out. So I changed it just because to have just to avoid this redundancy, you know, nothing else.
Well, yes,
you are right.
Yeah. I'm glad you said the word redundancy, Arun, because I think a big piece of this does come down to as you know, designers, developers, do you find redundancy to be a desirable attribute or an undesirable attribute? And there are lots of cases where people may find redundancy desirable if it kind of is not incurring much in the way of maintenance overhead, and it is providing a way for things to kind of leap off the page and be really, really, really clear to a new developer or an existing developer. Kind of, there are all these redundant cues that make you realize, oh, it's this kind of thing. But also the change that you made is 100% conforming, at least from what I saw, with the spec that you were given by the architect, by Federico in this case. Yeah. So, Peter, you opened up a ticket to go ahead and expand this change to everything else. That seems like a very, you know, pretty low risk, low expense, and bang for buck, because now we have this deviance and inconsistency, which can very easily, even early project, kind of beget other kinds of code rot. Because when you have deviance and inconsistency, well, anyway, whatever. I believe it's by itself a form of code rot, and code rot begets other code rot. So if we could fix that inconsistency now at a low cost, I think that's very positive.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's, I think, and I also agree on the, like what's a redundancy and what's required redundancy. Sometimes I think it's a lot of times you need that extra, you know, bit to understand something better than even if it feels like a redundancy at first.
I agree. I like those kinds of redundancies. Uncle Bob talks about screaming architecture, how you know, you look at a plan of a building, or you look at a queue managing class or whatever, and it just like it leaps off the page what that thing is. There's all these cues about what that thing is and what it's doing, and it makes it very, very easy to understand where it fits in the system. And I am a fan of those redundant cues for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you explained it very, very clearly and succinctly. I don't know why I felt I should add more.
Yeah, I think you needed to add more, you know. Yeah, so and how this is organized currently, it's kind of if I will borrow context, because within artist we have artist performance list, raised, related artists, supported courses, and those all relate to the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have about
money raised. I'm a little uncertain about, but please keep going.
Yeah, so these maybe we should reduce them to one. So we have just the container and the component down here. The causes.
You're saying reduce causes and cause to one?
Yeah, because since we have maybe the causes container.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
We can just have cause here because I don't think we'll need.
For some reason, Federico mentioned in the ticket to keep a causes directory empty, just leave a keep file. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason.
Yeah, I don't know either. That does seem like a confusion engendering thing to leave.
Can I just delete it?
I think he mentioned
it.
No, but he mentions probably he mentions for a reason. That's why I didn't want to delete it. So I wanted to delete it, but then I reread the ticket and it mentions to keep. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can we put a little message on that? So is that ticket still open, Peter?
No, it's merged in, but we can leave a comment. I think.
I'm wondering if we can leave a comment just saying, why do you want that directory still there?
In the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm happy to leave that if no one feels comfortable doing it. I know it can be hard to be like, but why?
I'm sorry, guys. So which directory are you guys talking about?
Which number? Yeah.
85. This. Yeah. Leaving the
So that's because you cannot commit an empty directory to Git, right? So there has to be some file inside it. So
Well,
I
no,
guess
so
that's
that,
what.
yeah.
But it still doesn't make sense, though. I mean, I understand
Yeah.
since we are going to have some. I guess this issue is just about creating a directory or something, without actually moving in the components. From what I understand. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense at all.
So you're talking about creating the directory sort of like as, but the directory did have stuff in it until this PR. Is that correct or no?
Give me a minute. Let me read the issue description. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, before the PR, there was the causes container in and the test file.
Yeah. Yeah. So Arun, it sounded like your hypothesis was that we were creating a directory as kind of like a staging zone prior to moving stuff in a later PR. We just shucked. I mean, you may be correct, but at least at first glance,
I guess I was wrong.
I guess at first glance, we just removed. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry. You just go ahead.
I've been wrong so many times, man, in my life. I'm being wrong right now, I'm sure. So like the yeah, we just shucked out stuff out of that directory, and so why we would put stuff in it later, I don't understand. I'm glad that Mike is asking that question of Federico, because for me it needs clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't really get it. Why do we need that? If we move it to containers, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Let's ask him.
So the contact. These are containers. Yeah, they have your name written on them, Pete. So
where?
No, that was me. Yeah, so yeah, so maybe we could move them and arguably have the money raised somewhere else, because money raised could be linked to a performance. Money raised.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking, is that money raised, I mean, how many ways can you raise money? Do you only raise money through performances?
Yeah, that's what I was asking as well.
Yeah. If you raise money through multiple avenues, is there a common business object that you can extract from that? So like a money raising event, that's not an amazing name, but at the same time it might be an okay name. And so then that component gets associated with money raising event rather than with the artist, and it's the relationship works that way, is the money raised is attached to the money raising event, which belongs to the artist. The money raised belonging directly to the artist seems like we're missing something. But
yeah, like you could, like, I was thinking that you could raise money through donations as well, like if the site accepts donations, but I'm just guessing.
Well, that's a good point, and that's not I would not consider a donation a money raising event. I would consider, because I would think of event here meaning like something where people attend and it's going on for like 15 minutes to 4 hours. Those aren't real world requirements for an event. That's just me talking, but a donation is also a way to raise money independently of an event. Yeah.
I mean, I know we're pretty close to the getting done with the back end, but this part we haven't decided yet. So
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow, I think tomorrow with our 7 p.m. UTC pairing session, we'll probably have these questions answered. So I would caution against spending too much time right now talking about it. But
yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, can we get to business? I don't see guys joining my VS Code.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, Mike. I did not see it there.
Yeah, I want us to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna leave in 10 minutes.
Boo.
No, not probably. Need to leave in 10 minutes.
Going to the beach. How was the beach?
I missed it yesterday because I was supposed to leave earlier, and then I got sucked into. It's so difficult to leave you guys, But
yeah,
I need to.
So,
I was studying as well, but then I'm like getting distracted by this Vue.js. Like I'm trying to. Anyways,
you're trying to learn Vue and teach the Vue guy Neo4j.
Yeah, I need to respond to that guy. But like, I know I'm just trying to get my VS Code to like it's double quotes everywhere, and I'm like, why doesn't just I want to save it and it changes all to single quotes, but it's not so simple, I guess, with Vue.js.
Huh.
Anyways, I don't know. Maybe I should not be distracted by that. It's like a really stupid thing to be distracted by. Like,
I mean, if you configured just your JS hint or something appropriately and ran like a JS hint autocorrect, couldn't you get JS hint to do it? Or,
well, I mean, I'm using standard JS, like, so I think like when you have, but I've tried to configure it like based on a couple different issues on. Anyways, I don't want to distract people on it.
Some kind of JS linter, I would think would take care of that for you. It's going to make a hell of a lot of noise in the history to make a change like that, but maybe that doesn't matter to you.
I mean, it shouldn't matter at all. I definitely shouldn't be like spending like derailing myself from studying just because I'm like annoyed by the linting or the formatting. I don't know what it is about double quotes. I have a really hard time seeing them and not like.
It's a code push.
Too much Rubocop and anyways.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Rubocop.
I just started it. So this is confusing as well. Artists and artists. So maybe we need to move artist to the container and get rid of this. So we have artists that has all these guys.
Yes.
And then we have artists.
Yeah, probably artists we have to move to the container now.
So this is the guy who moves to the container.
Yeah, artists. I think artists should be in the container folder.
Okay. Maybe I know best. And another guy that I was asking myself over was artist performance and artist performance list. Maybe just one of these should move down. And
yeah, maybe artist performance list, because that's also container object. So that's going to contain the artist performance items.
Yeah.
So that might be a good candidate.
So how do we share the refactor? Who is starting from the bottom? Someone should start from here, and someone should start from here. And it's only Ryder and Peter in my VS Code, so I don't know if the rest don't want to join. And yeah, I've started with artists.
I created a key file there just to follow this convention.
Until we understand more what
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
Yeah, so Mike, you were go ahead.
What did you mean convention?
To leave the directory still alive, like keep it alive, and then just put like a key file in it. So when we understand why Federico wants these folders to be there, then we can either delete or we keep it for a reason.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So all of the, go ahead. Sorry.
Does it just make sense to call this one now artist since it's an artist container?
Since causes is causes.
Yes, exactly.
Since this is artist.
Yeah, Peter, you were saying since causes container became causes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
So I think that's the refactor here, right? Is that anything with container in the title is going to become the same thing minus container, and it's going to move to the containers directory.
Yeah, that's the aim, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this.
All right, so,
go ahead.
No, I think I will start with home, because we already did performance. Oh no, we haven't done performance yet. Okay, so I start with performance.
Okay. I guess I will start contact.
Yeah, and I will do artists.
Oh. No, I'm not sure about performance, sorry, because performance is actually an individual item, but for some reason we have performance container as a file in it, so that's questionable. I think the problem comes from that we named everything a container which holds something. So even if it's just like it's going to be a block item somewhere, it's also a container.
So So I think what we can decide to do is that if we have a cause in the components, we need causes in the container. If we have a contact in the component, we need contacts in the container. That's if in case it's going to have if this is going to have some state management, which we are not sure of currently. But if we have contact here, we can have contacts over here. So we have singular and plural in components versus containers. Yeah. I don't know if Joseph is still here, or why is he not ranting on something we are not doing right.
He may be busy.
Yeah.
Just eating. Yeah. What was
So
the question again?
So
there's no question.
Yeah, we are just discussing the refactor. So we need to move components and containers to where they belong, given the famous convention. So what we are doing currently, like what we are thinking of doing is that within the components, if we have a directory called artists, yeah, Federico says we can delete.
The directories with the keep, just get rid of them.
Yeah, so let me see. He says, I think you can safely delete it. I forgot why I thought it was
Okay. No worries.
How convenient.
No, but this happens.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So Joseph, yeah. Go ahead.
No. Sorry, I was gonna keep us on the theme that we were just on, and you were gonna move us forward.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna head out, but thank you. It's great to see you all. Wow, a really big crew today. 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Wow, amazing. Have fun. Yeah. I'll see most of you tomorrow. Peter, I guess I'll see you next week.
Yeah, exactly. See you, man.
Oh, I got your message. Sorry, I haven't responded yet.
No worries.
Cheers. See you guys.
Have a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Joseph, we were saying like how to refactor. We have this artist here, and we are going to have artists in the container. And if we have courses here, we'll have course up here. And if we have contact, we'll have contacts in the container. And if we have stuff like home, I think we'll just leave them here without having. No, but we have. So I don't know what home.
Well, I think the idea is that stateful components are going to move into the containers directory, and they're going to lose the container designation in the file itself. Does that seem correct?
Yes.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first question I would want to ask, if that's what we want to do, is like, is there a built-in refactor to VS Code that will handle all the reference changes and everything for us without us having to manually go into the app.js and change the import statement, stuff like that? That's the first thing I would look for.
Yes, there is.
Great.
I don't know if it still happens. Like when you move the component, it will ask you to change also every reference where it's being important.
Wonderful.
Important.
So we can use the rename refactor and then move it, and it should handle everything for us theoretically.
Yeah, I've seen it happen on my end. I don't know, maybe, but I haven't installed any extension, so it should work.
Wonderful. No, that accords with what I was seeing on Stack Overflow, that this has been supported since VS Code 1.24. So as long as we're running at least 1.24, that's great. I just had never seen it personally, so I'm happy to both see it on Stack Overflow and then hear it from someone else who's looking at the same context, because sometimes you don't understand on Stack Overflow what their context is versus what your context is, and you're saying you've seen it personally in this same kind of condition before.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you run to the answers.
Especially when you what the answers?
When you run to the answers on Stack Overflow without reading the question.
Right, exactly, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I missed that bit with the refactor. So mine, I just copied. In Kenya, we will say Kijuakali.
Kijuakali?
Yeah, Juakali, like.
Juakali.
I just moved it.
Willy-nilly?
Like a layman. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So maybe we can try
home container.
Yeah, we're about.
Yeah. Are we moving things already?
Well, I'm going to move contacts. I called out contacts a little bit ago, and that's the one that I'll move.
Okay. So can we do it now? Yeah. I think I messed this. So it's not gonna be called a container.
Yeah.
Then it can still have this.
Yep.
Yeah, you see it's asking update imports from, yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, he's saying maybe we just keep it again.
That's great because I deleted.
Wait, he's saying to keep it again?
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. Let me just see his comment.
I mean, it's easy to recreate and stick a keep in it, but
So should we recreate or should I recreate this since I was deleting them?
I think Pete, you're the best to answer this. Wait, never mind. Maybe I was just thinking. I think I was thinking that there might be some other related or children components or maybe some CSS files.
No, I think the CS. No.
Moving everything.
But if there's any broken reference, the thing shouldn't even build. So.
No, there were not. In artist, yeah, in artist we have this SCSS file, yeah, but that can live anywhere.
Yeah.
We just need to make sure the import is correct.
Yeah. I don't know what I did wrong, if there's a way for VS Code to manage the refactor properly for contexts, which again, hearing from you, Joseph, it sounded like there's a way to do that seamlessly. But I moved contacts over and renamed it, and it didn't ask me anything about the import statement on 16 of the app.js.
I already clicked on always update, so I don't know if that's taken care of for you as well.
Okay, I mean, I may have moved it before that happened. I didn't see any modal when I moved it. I moved it by just, pulling it in the file navigation view into the new directory. Is that the proper way to move it?
Yeah, either way. And yeah, and the model was showing up the pop-ups. Pop-ups. Yeah, I was. But then Mike has said that he has said always update now.
Okay. Well, it sounds like maybe the next time I try to do one, it'll be taken care of properly by VS Code. For whatever reason, I gaffed this one. But if the only import is on 16 of the app.js, I'm just going to change it manually to conform with performances on 14 of the app.js. And with 10 with causes in the app.js, because they all follow the same pattern. Oh, and again, it's not container, it's contacts now. All right.
Yeah. So
So I'm noticing that we moved artists to the containers directory, but that we still have the artists container import on 12 of the app.js.
Yep, that's not. I can fix that.
Okay, cool.
maybe
Are you running tests, Mike, just to be sure that it's not breaking?
yeah.
That's good. I'm a little confused by what Matt said about the artist container or the causes container, for example, being the stateful component, and then the singular, the cause container or the artist container being the presentational component. Because if that's so, I guess I don't know how they ever got that container moniker to begin with. And if it's not, and they're also stateful components, maybe one of you guys understands that better than I do.
I think they should be stateful because you can
Okay,
compare them to index and show views like you would see in Braids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as far as I understand, artist container is supposed to get a single artist, fetch data from the API and stuff. So it is supposed to be a container.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well,
since it did not update contact like it was supposed to.
Yeah. I moved contacts, and it for whatever reason, when I moved it, it didn't do the app.js import change. But to the best of my knowledge of the timeline, Mike, it was before you said always change the references on that modal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the app.js, and it looks like we've got contacts moved. We have artists moved.
This is in the test file?
I'm looking at the app.js.
Sorry to ask, what was your question again, Ryder?
Oh, so this was the question that Arun answered. Wait, which question? The one just now?
That one, yeah.
Yeah, no, the question that I had for everybody, Joseph, was just I was looking at these names and how you've got the causes container, and then the cause container, and the artist container, and the artist container. And I just wasn't sure if those singular, it was because of what Matt had said about the singular ones being potentially presentational components. And if that were the case, it would mean there's a pretty big naming problem. But just before we started moving those over, I wanted to check in with everybody about y'all's understanding of what those components are. And that was where Arun responded that those should also be stateful.
Yeah, but also it doesn't matter. Like artist and artist, first of all, if you're not gonna modify like anything, you're just gonna render the artist. Say for example, you're not gonna filter or like paginate or something.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to have artist and artist, because you can always get that from the store, or because you're using Redux.
So
And
you're
then
saying there's no reason to have the artist?
Yeah, artist and artist. Yeah. So where you're gonna render the artist in that component, which is like stateful,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, in the home page or somewhere, you're
Mm.
gonna get all the artists from the store Redux,
Yeah.
and then just map over those and just render each artist component. So instead of having artist and artist. So the only time you would need artist and artist is that if you want to change, if you're going to modify the each artist, so you just want to modify the array of artists. Maybe you want to change one. Maybe there's a component that can change the name or
Yeah.
in the artist component, stuff like that. So you don't want to pollute the global state first, or maybe do something with it. So for example, like filter, you might have, yeah, you might want to just filter only like 10 artists, so that, yeah, that one you can use artist and artist. So that I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No, you are
But
making sense. And we may be kind of future proofing in a sense, right? I don't know if there's a concrete requirement for those use cases that you outlined, and we're going ahead and building the thing knowing that we'll need it later. I really don't know. I don't love building things in that way, because as we all know, a lot of times when you future proof or try to build things before there's a concrete requirement, it ends up just kind of hanging around and not getting used. And it adds a level of complexity that may never be required, and just kind of makes things messier. But I really don't know why we have those separated into two.
Yeah. So maybe currently, since what we have currently is just the show artist page. I don't know whether I have this running.
do you have a mockup? I think there's a design mockup.
Yeah.
It's within the README.
It's in the README of the.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is what we have currently, and this does not require.
Yeah. For example, like,
list.
Yeah, if it's like this, then you don't need artist and artist.
But when we'll have the list of artists, I think we'll need artist and artists.
Even if there's a list, if you're not gonna paginate, like if you don't care, you just, if you're going to use the array of response that comes through the response, just the way it is, you're not going to split it into 3, maybe you're paginating or stuff like that. You don't have to have like artist and artist. You can just map through the props each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and
if
I mean,
you,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna repeat, I think, what I've said. Yeah, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, and if we do have that common filtering use case, I say common just for apps in general, not that I know that that's something on the roadmap for us, but like typically we're going to want to go ahead and have that filtering be part of the request. So we just return fewer records in the response to begin with, rather than having the additional over the wire traffic and trying to filter on the front end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So all the tests
What
pass.
do we want to do then?
We don't want to put code that we don't need right now.
Well, that's true. We already have that code.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have successfully refactored 3. So contact, artists, and performance.
Yeah. Is it correct that we've refactored all the plural stateful components?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I think this artist performance, I should actually move it down there. Yeah.
So I am noticing an interesting little divergence here in that artist performance list component that I think you just moved, Mike.
Yeah.
That pretty much everywhere else our pluralized stateful components are, you know, just the plural of whatever. So it's not cause list container or cause list or anything like that. It's causes. Yeah. So I'm making an assumption that the artist list has the same kind of relationship with the artist performance list has the same kind of relationship with artist performance as you know, artists has with artist or contacts has with contact. And if that's the case, then I guess I'm not sure why this one should be named list and all the other ones should follow a different convention.
Yeah, that's why I just renamed it to performances.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And just about that, I don't know whether we still want to keep the idea of the context here. I think the decision was made for maybe styling reasons, Peter. Yeah. So and if I maintain this, can I just come here and create another directory for artists? That's why I have this instead of just having okay, like here we have artist, but whatever belongs to artist is I don't know what happened. Oh, my VS Code. Does everyone have a problem with VS Code?
A problem with it?
Yes, mine apparently sometimes just refuses to work as I want it to.
So
yeah,
I may be responsible for the difficulty you're seeing right now. I just made a change in the artist performance list, and I don't know if it's that my workspace is somehow not synced up with yours, and so you kind of have like one which is still working on the file where it was in its location, you know, 2 minutes ago. I've never seen things go out of sync like that before, but I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah, I think this is the... Oh yeah, I think now I moved it to down here.
Okay.
And called them artist performances.
Okay.
And maybe
so maybe we can delete the one that I can delete the one that I modified since you've already got it there.
Yeah.
But there were some typos in it, which is why and those typos were not in referenced components. Those typos were in the test names. So there's not any additional like reference changing overhead of making that typo correction. So okay. I'll just those changes where you moved it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple issues. One of these will require a rename refactor in that it's artist performances.test.js. You see how the name of the file is missing an R between the O and the M?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add that R between the O and the M. Although we just moved it, so I probably shouldn't do that in this PR. Is that, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
like my fear is it'll muddy up the diff and we won't be able to track this file's life cycle through the history if I rename it in the same breath that we do a move. If any of you guys know that is not going to be an issue, you know, please feel free to say, and we can go ahead and make that change. But otherwise, although it's wrong for it to be performances rather than performances, I would just assume wait until a future PR to make that change, so it doesn't, or at least a separate commit, right?
Yeah. If we are not going to create an issue about that right now, maybe we should just change it right now. Because if we don't create an issue, we'll forget about it.
I won't forget.
I know how they at you.
So I've made the changes to the typos within that file on lines 8 and lines 14, where there were two different kinds of typos. I've not changed the file name. So I don't know if you've thought about how you're going to commit this work, Mike.
Yeah.
How did you envision the commits for this PR being structured?
Apologetically, like it's so huge. We are sorry, you have to review this so big PR.
Well, I mean, that is another question, right? Is it going to be one PR or more than one PR? I guess my knee-jerk here would be to leave it in one, even though it is big.
Yeah. I will just leave it on one PR and just explain what exactly happened in one of the components, and that will apply across board. And maybe this thing with the artists also, I will have to put it in the comments. Yeah.
So are you going to commit, you know, each component moving and renaming together with its corresponding import change in the app.js? Is that how you had thought about doing it, or?
I'm just going to commit everyone.
All in one commit?
Yeah. Or should I make them different because it's one branch? And I could put them in different commits. Yeah, I think that's.
I would put them different. I am not a Git wizard by any stretch of the imagination. I use a Git GUI for a lot of this kind of work. I use the GitHub desktop GUI. And so if I've done work and I haven't been committing it as I go, and I want to grab a specific line, well, I don't know, maybe I'm already saying stuff that you already know and use. But, you know, a lot of the Git GUIs provide a really simple way for you to pick out a certain change from a specific file and then roll it in together with the other change, you know, so that you can group your related changes together.
Okay.
So you can actually use the p flag when you're trying to add files. So you can add line number 3 to your commit and omit line 10 or something. So let me just in the command, the chat.
Git add p.
So this will let you commit parts of the file and not the whole file, you know. so you can comment, some lines, which is pretty cool.
So do I then pass it the file name and then like colon line number, or how does that work?
So when you run this command, this will open up an interactive editor where you can pick the changes you want in the commit. So it will go through all your changes and ask you if you want to add it or no. So you just keep pressing yes or no, and then or you can even do other cool stuff. But this is what I usually do. Just
okay, that's cool to know.
Yeah, Git is amazing. And if you encounter something new, it does awesome.
Yeah, very cool. I'll have to try that out soon.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do a commit by commit. Yeah, I think it's better that way.
What if you do a file by file commit?
File or directory?
A directory, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Ah, so yeah, okay.
Yep. So this performance list is not gone yet.
The performance list is not gone?
Pete.
Yes.
How about having this also in a directory?
You mean artist bio and artist bio?
Yeah, and maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Joseph, welcome back.
I think maybe you can do that in like the same thing that you have. So that we have it sort of in like.
You're breaking up, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Mike, we couldn't really follow because your line was really bad.
Okay, so I was asking if for this, and we have artist performances, and maybe
we can't hear you, Mike, now.
Okay. Maybe just type.
Oh.
Yeah,
an issue seems like.
You still can't hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're breaking up again.
Sad.
Peter and I just both turned our cameras off.
Yeah, or maybe I should stop the sharing. And
well, all things considered, assuming that my idea of what the sharing should be like resource wise, as opposed to, you know, a video feed, I would consider the video to be a much more impactful resource allocation than the VS Code share, which is just text. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my screen.
Yeah, the screen sharing you could potentially drop as well, because that is also a video feed. And hopefully that changes something. I don't know. My internet's been pretty bad today too. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Great.
How about Mike?
Yeah,
Mike sounds good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, in the components directory, we have the artists that has some stuff inside of it. And I wanted to maintain the same sort of thing with the containers so that we have artists. And within artists, we have these two containers that belong to artists in that directory.
The artist performances, for example.
Yeah, the artist performances and the artists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, if it's something that's approvable.
I think so. So you're just talking about the artist directory, moving that artist performances into it, for example?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I don't see any compelling reason why we wouldn't do that. Maybe one of you guys does.
Mm-hmm. So where do you want to move the artist performance, actually?
Yeah, I want to create a directory called artists and move artists and artist performances inside of that.
But we have the artist directory.
Yeah.
Or I might not understand.
You see how it's done within the components?
Yeah.
Where we have artists and we have artist performance within artists.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I see. Ah, okay. So you want to move that out?
Either move it out in the component or move it in the containers, because it's a little bit confusing if we have containers with artist performance as the same level with artists, and yet in the components we have artist performance a level inside the artist.
I see.
I agree.
I see. Yeah, potentially can be moved out, I think.
I wish I understood what performance was and why there seems to be a domain distinction between performance and artist performance and performances and artist performances.
I think it's the same old OOP kind of relationship where we have like in OOP, when you have many to many.
No, I understand, but if you look at line 3 of the performance, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
Maybe I was not responding to the question that you asked.
Well, so you were about to, I think, and that's why I interrupted, which I apologize for. I thought you were about to posit that there might be an inheritance relationship between the performance and artist performance components.
I wasn't going to call it artist performance, but
Okay.
I was just thinking like how I was thinking of it was like we have a performance which is an entity of its own.
Yeah.
And then we have artists who are entities, an entity of its own as well.
Yes.
And then we need to relate an artist to a performance. Now we need the artist performance. So
okay.
Yeah, the artist performance will sort of link artists and performances.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So basically, artist performance is like a filter of all the performances just related to the artist.
Yeah, because maybe in the thought, maybe it was thought that maybe performances could not be just related to an artist. Maybe it's related to a group of artists, or maybe it's related to a sport,
Yeah.
or maybe something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if that's what the purpose is, it does make sense to me. I didn't realize that because I think I'm one of the least experienced people here in terms of React and Redux. But I think of that kind of relationship as traditionally being more of a back end kind of relationship. So what you're telling me is there's a use case for having a joiny kind of thing in your front end components.
Sounds like it.
Okay. I hope so. I don't really know.
Yeah,
like
I think,
uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's how I understood it, the artist performance and artists. But yeah, maybe it's an old school, rightly, it's an old school back-end joiny kind of thing. Which maybe
I have no idea. But I now have a better understanding of what it might be than I did 5 to 10 minutes ago when it just looked like a mistake to me.
Okay. Is it tried to maybe have such kind of a relationship in the front end? Like, okay, but I think it was in the mock-up. So
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tease out is if it serves a functional purpose or if it's a mistake. But so where we are right now is we're kind of midway in this refactor, and I know it's taken us a while, but I do want to make sure that we're all on the same page that the amount of dev effort that it's been to do this refactor, which was motivated by the causes container to causes refactor, the amount of effort that it's actually taken to continue this refactor has been very, very small. It's proceeded slowly because there's been a lot of discussion around it, which I think is good. But like, let's say we were to stop midway and pivot and decide, no, it's not time to do this refactor or something else. We wouldn't want to consider that effort lost because it's very, very cheap to reproduce. Are we on the same page with that so far?
Yeah, I just didn't get the last part. I think it was breaking on my side.
Oh, sorry.
But,
am I coming through kind of clearly now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, basically one issue that we've identified that's important to be thinking about is what we talked about with Joseph, is that we have this both plural stateful component and singular stateful component. And this is a pattern that may not actually be motivated by a real workflow or a real use case. And so that is a question that I might be motivated to take up with Federico, because definitely if we did kind of the cowboy coding thing here and like did this refactor of all the components and then also got rid of all the singular stateful components, that seems like too big a change to just make without really fully understanding the implications and why those singular stateful components were there in the first place.
Yeah.
So part of what I'm trying to do is just find out what it makes the most sense for us to do next. Because we're midway. Yeah, that's really it.
So we are midway, and we need to find out what to do next.
Yeah, because in the course of doing what seemed like a relatively simple and reasonably well-motivated refactor, which was just to this divergence that we had between one stateful component and all the other stateful components in terms of how they were organized, to resolve that divergence, because it is a subtle kind of code rot. And so it was a well-motivated thing, and then we got into, again, which is what is pretty simple, low-risk dev work, and which we shouldn't feel bad about losing if it comes down to losing it, because it's easily reproducible. We also discovered that, hey, there are these plural stateful components and singular stateful components, and we don't know if the existence of those two kinds of stateful components is well-motivated or not. Yeah. So I would be hesitant. So one thing we could do is finish it for all the plural stateful components and submit that as a PR and have that be a way to kind of get the conversation moving. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me. What seems the most unreasonable to me, and then we could also just kind of reset and talk to Federico and maybe have this in a branch. That also doesn't seem unreasonable to me without PRing it. The one unreasonable thing here to me would be to go ahead and say, okay, those single stateful components are not motivated, and let's just finish the refactor and get rid of the singular stateful components. That seems a little bit unmotivated at this point, to me.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. So maybe we could just finish up with the plural
Sure.
components that we
Sure.
expect that maybe would have state, and then start a discussion on the singular components.
Great. Which so let's find out which plural components we still need to refactor.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I agree with the approach, but I need to go. So I think like just doing the plural components and then have the discussion going. I think that's the right way.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Guys. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
It's just you and me, Mike, and Arun. Is Arun still here? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll try sharing.
Hey, man.
I will try sharing again if I don't break up.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is not it. If yeah, maybe something is making my computer hang. I think I'll have to reshare the VS Code.
Okay. I'm still in the share right now. Oh, but you're saying you need to restart your VS Code.
Yeah, I did reload it. So if you're still in the share, that's a plus.
Yeah, no, so far I'm still seeing it.
Okay. But it looks like it doesn't have the sharing. So I'm just setting one.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think I must be in a share with Ghost Mike then, and it must be about to kick me out.
yeah, it's just lying to you. I'm a good liar. So here in the components directory, we have these like 5. These are like 6 directories. So we have performance, where we have performance container. I think Peter moved this, but maybe he forgot to rename this.
A performance container.
Yeah, in the directory, in the components directory. So we need to have performance instead of having performance container. Yeah.
But that's the singular, right? We were going to leave the singulars, weren't we?
Huh. But it was the way he left it, it was named the container. Like it was like
performance container.
Yeah.
Right.
So we pulled it out to have a performance container here. So we pulled the container out from the components directory to have it outside here.
So well, that's the performances container that we pulled out.
Ah. Okay. Then maybe I misunderstood the meaning of what you just said.
Well, it is confusing. I mean, I will admit to being confused about it myself.
Yeah, maybe I'll leave it as such. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so we have the about, which I don't think about as well. It has a container, but you said so. This is what we will start talking about. And then
exactly.
we have artist performance, which I just moved out. Then we have the money raised, which we should also start a discussion about. And then we have related artists.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing right there, Mike, right? Because there's a related artists, but there's no related artist. So is that a stateful component?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think where I am right now, I don't really understand at what point exactly I start managing state. for example, the related artists.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Well, if it's got a corresponding reducer somewhere, right? Like if there's a related artists reducer, where are the reducers in this project, by the way?
we don't have Redux yet.
Ah, okay, I gotcha. Well, so if I look on line 5 of the related artists JS, what I see is that the class name is related artists container, which I don't know. It's just a data point, and it would seem to imply that we're meant to be, tracking state with this component, but it could also just be a copy pasta mistake. I really don't know.
Yeah. So like related artists could be.
Yeah, it could be a target for this refactoring.
Maybe we get the mockup what the related artists will have. Is it a good point?
Is it a what point?
A good point to check the.
I think so.
Yeah.
And supported causes, Mike, I'm also noticing has the supported causes container class name.
Okay. So on the readme. So this is the supported causes, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this could be supported cause. This could be supported cause. This could be then the list. Yeah. And then the related artists maybe starts when this guy has only one related artist, but then another one comes and we need to update it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those both seem like legitimately to be containers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't I can move supported causes over if you want to move related artists.
Okay.
Who is that?
And supported causes should go under artist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so but those both moved over. I see that you moved related artists.
Yeah.
So if we look at the app.js, I'm noticing that related artists and supported causes are not in that block of imports from 8 to 17. So I don't know if they're just not being referenced anywhere.
But how do we have, if I do?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you do a project search, you start coming up with it. So the artist container, for example, is pulling in the related artists. So we would expect the artist container to break right now. And the artist container is also what's bringing in the supported causes. So since we moved both of the paths of those without changing the component name, but we would still expect those to break right now. And we would
Yeah.
also expect 3, the artist performance list, to break, because we renamed that to artist performances and moved it.
Okay.
So we can start doctoring these paths. Containers. Yeah.
Containers, then artist.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah. That's why it wasn't. That's why the command click wasn't working for me.
Cannot find. Can't find artist performance.
So artist container is in artist. So if we walk up one level, we're in the components directory. And so I think we want to walk up 2 levels, because components and containers are sister folders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I have this with artist performance. Performance test. So did I mess this up? So can I find module artist performance, artist performance?
Artist performance, artist performance. Oh, okay. So artist performances is now in the containers directory. So artist performances is looking for artist performance, but it's looking for it. It needs an additional components here, and I think that should fix it. Maybe not. Because we're in artist performances. Oh, which is in the containers, and it's in artists. So if we walk one level up, we get to artists, and there's no components there. So if we need to walk 2 levels up again, that puts us in components, from where we can drill down to artists. So I think this might get us there. I'm not clear. Not yet. It looks like it's still not right. So again, we're in artist performances. If we walk up one level, we're now in artists. If we walk up another level, we're now in containers. From there, we can't drill down into components. So it looks like we need to walk up 3 levels. If we walk up the 3rd level, we should be in components, from which we can drill down into artists, from which we can drill down into artist performance. Yeah, and that seems to have resolved.
So I think we have some supported courses. Artist.test.js.
Yeah, so that's looking for the artist performance list, which is now artist performances in the containers directory.
Yeah.
No. Where is that? It is.
So why does it say is the artist the test.js? Line number 16.
So it's the artist performances.test.js, isn't it? Oh no, you're right. Artist performances.test.js.
Yeah, but
Then
the test fails on this file. Maybe I'm having. So they say the test fails on this file.
Okay. And that's
And
the
then-
artist.test.js.
Yeah. Then it says cannot find module.
Well, I'm looking at that, and it's
container.
saying import artist from artist container. And if we look into the artist container, we'll notice that it's still referencing the artist performance list on line 3, which is no longer a thing. So if we change that, so that import on line 3 is most likely the cause of that issue.
Yeah. So maybe we need to change this to artist performances.
Yeah.
And then it's from up one components.
Yeah, so while you're changing the import, I'll go ahead and change the artist performance list component reference on line 19. So that component reads artist performances also.
So this component artist performance. No, components artists.
Yeah.
Artist performances. Not sure if that fixed it.
Where? I don't want to shout, my friend.
Doesn't seem like it. So if we're in the artist container, right, if we walk up one directory, that puts us in artist.
Okay.
If we walk up another directory, it puts us in components. And if we walk up, so what we could do is walk up 2 levels and then go to artists if we get rid of that components.
Okay.
And I think that may get us where we want to go, but it doesn't. So we walk up from artist container, we walk up 1 level. Yeah, go ahead.
The artist container is in the components.
Yes, it is.
And then the artist performances is in the
Containers. Yes, you're exactly right.
So we need to walk up and go to
Containers, like we do on 5 and 6. Yeah.
Then go to containers. Okay.
Guys, sorry for interrupting. I gotta go.
See you, Arun. It was good working with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy your conversation with you and everyone else. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, see you later. Have a great weekend.
See you later. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I said have a great weekend, but I think the weekend's already over where Arun is.
Yeah, he's probably in Monday already.
Yeah.
So this containers artist performances.
Containers, artist performances. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so So this will I think I need to so I think sorry.
We might
so,
be done, right? Or go ahead.
Yeah, there's just one other fail.
Oh, okay.
I think artist performances is also coupled with artists performance.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to get artist performances. And
oh yeah, they're on line 2. That artist performances.
Yeah, but how is that not? Did you correct that?
I just corrected it now. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just going to correct line 8 too. Oh, there's a couple of places this needs to be changed. Okay. So I'm just going to do this the sloppy, old-fashioned way. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. It's actually kind of reckless, but one by one, I'm changing them.
Yeah. At least. Yep.
So I would still expect line 3 to be problematic, yeah? Of artist performances .test.
Yeah, I think it's line 9.
You think it's line 9?
So they're saying, yeah, line 3.
So we're in the containers artist performances directory. So if we walk 2 levels up, we'll be in containers, and we need to walk 3 levels up so we can get to components.
Yeah,
I think, and then components artists. Okay. That does not solve it. So artist performances, we walk 1 up to artists. We walk 2 up to containers. We walk 3 up to source, from which we come down into components. Oh, artists singular. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And so then we're fixed. Yeah.
Yep. We are fixed.
Awesome.
Nice.
We did it, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the greens, man. I can take a screenshot.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Yeah, I'll make a bed sheet with the green. That when I go to bed, I just see green.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it was great working with you. I'm going to try and get some work done for my day job before Monday rolls around.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we need to do anything else together before I jump off?
No, I think I'll just do a PR on this one, and then tomorrow we'll have to hack on the back end.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have a great night, man. I'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye.